Oh, hello to you all. So this is a part three of covering lung channel from the Chinese medicine perspective. I'm Katya and live in New Orleans. I'm an acupuncturist and a mover dancer. So um, at this time, I just decided to post every day to just kind of give some insight into different ways of thinking about the lung system, immune system, well being, self care. Um, so let's see. Right now, I'm drinking dandelion root, ashwagandha root, licorice root tea, and all these plants are really good for. They're all demulcent, so that means that they have a lot of polysaccharides and they produce kind of slimy effect in the water. And when that polysaccharide slime kind of covers your throat and mucous membranes, they're protected from pathogens and entering the mucous membranes. They also make mucous membranes kind of they coat them and make them more lubricated, as well as have other effects on the body that are super good for you right now, such as they're all antibacterial and they reduce inflammation in the body. Um, Dandelion root has an positive effect on the liver. It kind of decongest the liver. So the liver breaks down a lot of hormones in the body, a lot of stress hormones and other hormones. So it's really nice to kind of cleanse the liver, especially in the springtime, as we have right now. Springtime is the time for cleansing, mild, gentle cleanses. And then licorice is considered strongly anti-inflammatory. It's similar. It looks similar to cortisol in the body, the molecules of it. So it's not as strong as cortisol. It's not a substitute for cortisol, but it's definitely anti-inflammatory, um, and and antibacterial and antiviral. And then ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is more of an Indian, from India, Ayurvedic herb, and it's very supportive to the adrenal system as well as licorice. So, because cortisol is produced in the adrenal cortex. So, yeah, so right now you want to give that little something to your adrenals because you're operating in a state of a lot of uncertainty. And so the adrenals are working extra hard, I would assume, for many people. So I drink like a cup or two a day, and I feel that it's it's a nice tonic tea as a preventative right now for everyone who are interested in herbal medicine as allies to your general self care. Okay, so the lung. Um, I think that the lung, the lung conversation is going to continue today with me going over um, more of the connection to the thyroid at first. So let's see. And again, I'm referencing a few books that I feel inspired by. One of them is The Spark in the Machine by Daniel Kewen, who's an acupuncturist and a surgeon. Um, let's see. So the throat. So the lung is a part of the throat is a part of the lung system. So the throat kind of as you in an embryo, the lung is connected. The organ then grows into the voice box, and then the voice box goes in and grows into other structures such as the nasal passages, the mouth opening, the trachea, the voice box, the epiglottis and all the structures around the throat. And then right here we have a thyroid gland, and behind that there is a parathyroid gland. The thyroid gland is like a metabolic thermostat. Um, it's responsible for how your cells work in terms of the speed. So you can turn the thermostat up, you can turn the thermostat down, and if you can turn it up, you'll get warmer and start burning energy faster. If you turn the thermostat down, you everything will slow down. So, for example, after Chernobyl, I'm from Ukraine, and after Chernobyl, a lot of people, even up to today, have gotten issues with their thyroid. So a lot of them have hypothyroid or hyperthyroid turning into hypothyroid conditions or thyroid cancer. So So yeah, thyroid is really important because it regulates all the functions of your body, all the cells of your body. It's situated right here. And so what's interesting about thyroid is when there is thyroid surgeries, for example, they're not the surgeons don't go through the throat; they go through the armpit, through the pec opening, because there exists fascial planes that run all up through the hand and into the lung, into the throat, uh, compartmentalizing different muscle groups. And so the it's a robotic surgery often, so you can go through the little openings without cutting through the muscle because that's not what you want to do. If you're going to cut through the muscle, you will end up with a lot of scar tissue and complications. So there's actually exists these fascial planes that separate different body parts that go through organs, through um, micro openings within the body. Um, and so the fascial planes, as I've explained, are sort of kind of follow the descriptions of Chinese medicine channels. So the channels, the qi channels, are the fascial planes. If you want to know about fascial planes, more go to Myers Anatomy. Myers is the last name of the person who wrote Anatomy Trains book. And so there's an in-depth, and I'm sure he's online. He's kind of a big deal in the role for community or in bodywork community. But yeah, go online, check out fascia, FASCIA. It's there's more and more development and knowledge about how important this system uh, to our body and how it functions. Um, anyhow, so moving. So why is this important? Because let's see. So the thyroid gland itself is related to inspiration and the lung. So not only the hormones released from the gland directly affect your breathing rate, but people who lack thyroxine hormone produced by thyroid really do seem lack inspiration. So a lot of people become kind of dull and unmotivated. In the same way the adrenal gland is related to the kidneys, the thyroid gland may well be um, hormonal, may well be the hormonal aspect of the lung, and a way in which it communicates with the rest of the body. So, so if lung governs a bigger type of respiration within our body, the inhale and exhale, and thyroid governs the micro respiration, cellular respiration within our body. So each cell is regulated by thyroid and how well it functions. So the cellular respiration is a medical term to describe how quickly the cells burn sugar and oxygen together in the mitochondria. Okay. So, in other words, thyroid hormones not only behave like the lungs does, but also virtually important in making sure the lung develops fully. Um, and there's a cool picture here that this person gives and shows that a thyroid develops within the lung system in embryological state of our development as well. It looks similar to the lung. So I'm going to show it to you. So you see, this is thyroid within the lung. Then the lung develops and then thyroid develops. So this is thyroid, this is the lung. They look very similar. So again, it's an example of nature picking the same form and function, and again fractaling smaller within bigger structures, but within our body or outside. Like yesterday we talked about trees, upside down trees looking like lungs, and um, being designed in very similar ways, except that our lungs are submerged in blood that comes from the heart, and then the development of exchange happens between the blood, and carbonic acid and oxygen and water get produced or exchanged, and carbon dioxide gets released. In the trees, it's the sugar gets produced, and but very similar exchange happens. Let's see. Another thing that comes to mind right now is that thyroid really is very important. Um, in There's a connection to iron production in the body. Um, let's see, do I want to say that now? No. Okay, I'm just going to table because right now I'm a little hazy about that. Um, let's see. But what I was going to say, that the hemoglobin, the molecules are similar to chlorophyll molecules, that they grab onto oxygen and then participate in the metabolic exchange. So trees, people have very similar uh, systems, almost chemical systems in place. So all this is very fascinating to me, and that's why I'm sharing to you. Um, okay. So right now, I want to go over the points on the lung channel, um, and add a few ones that we haven't talked about. So again, I'm looking at Deadman, a book of anatomy, a manual of acupuncture. Sorry. And I'm going to the lung channel. Um, and yesterday we looked at lung 1, which is right here. It's at the triangular fossa. And we discovered that it's really good for coughs, it's good for nasal obstruction, and as well as any kind of throat obstructions, right? And of course, it goes without saying that all these points right here under the clavicle and over the clavicle, and even the traps and the neck points, and even the jaw points, um, and kind of behind the occiput, right here, they're all connected to the lung in a way that the lung, they surround the lung. So this is all kind of, and they surround the system that is connected to the lung, which is the throat and the mouth opening, as well as the nose opening, because nose sinuses drain into the mouth, into the throat, and then into the bronchial. And so, yeah, there's that connection that is kind of almost like a loop. So, relaxing the areas around the head, the face, the nose, and the neck, especially, and then around the clavicles and the shoulders, There's ways you can move your shoulders, can release them, is extremely great for you right now, and extremely good when you feel congestion, because when there is congestion in the body, things tend to tighten up. So as you start moving it yourself or moving it on somebody else through body work, uh, things start to flow and decongest. Okay, so mm, lung three. So lung three is a cool point. It let's see, it's located right here. So we're gonna go from here to here. So what is this? This looks like the insertion of the bicep. Um, so location on the anterior lateral aspect of the arm. Uh, um, about kind of below the fold of the armpit. So this is my fold, and this is where the bicep approximately attaches right here. So this is the point called lung three. Um, so as you massage, just kind of this is the point you can stop at. Again, because this is partially, you can use this information for self-care. Um, so as you massage, I'm gonna actually go over just different ways of touching this channel in a second. But I wanted to note that this point clears lung heat and descends lung qi, cools the blood and stops bleeding, and calms the po, the corporeal soul. So it, the Chinese have different souls within our body residing in different organ systems. And po is a soul that they call corporea, or in Western world it's called the spirit. Often the color of the po is white, just like the ghosts have white color in our folklore here. Um, and often um, it's interesting because it all comes from the Taoist kind of. It has Taoist roots, and the correlations to the planets exist. Like different planets are connected to different souls within our system. I think that Poe is connected to Saturn, but I'm not sure. I forget. Um, so sighing is the sign of uh, just kind of the system um, being deficient. Again, this language is deficiency, and excess is Chinese medical terms. Nothing is deficient within you, it's just language. Um, and I forgot to mention that in general, lung is connected to air, and air is connected to metal in Chinese perspective, or five elements. So not just air. They don't have air, they have metal. So they have metal, um, water, earth, wood, and fire. So as opposed to, for example, Native American tradition, or other, and also European traditions that only have four elements: earth, fire, water, air. In Chinese elemental system, they have fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, and then it just goes all around. And there's a relationship to that are generative or attacking between the elements. So there's this pentagon in between. So there's a circle on the outside and the pentagon in between. And there's a relationship between the different elements, depending on which way the pentagon points or depending which way you go in the circle. So, and that whole five element relational approach to your health as well as the world is kind of in a nutshell what Chinese medicine is trying to hold space for, and as knowledge, mm, and just look at, yeah. Um, let's see. So lung three, according to Deadman here, is used for wheezing, cough, asthma, nosebleeds, and a lot of mucus. It also is used for a lot of kind of fatigue, wanting to sleep a lot, or as well as like unable to go to sleep. This point is really famous for letting go of sadness. Um, this is one of the points that, because it has an effect on the Po, it's considered one of the points that specifically used for um, emotional release. So, especially when people are ready to release something. So, with the lung is one of those organs where we breathe in something and then we breathe out and let go. So the lung is associated with the practice of letting go. So if you are part of any kind of meditative practice, you know that practice of letting go is just another practice, or as well as just a phenomenon. People let go at some point and feel empty, and they empty their mind, their hearts, and they start from a fresher, more open perspective. Uh, so the letting go is a very important function of the lung. And lung is considered one of the only organs that open to the external world through breath. So every other organ pretty much is confined within the torso, within the body. So it's considered kind of an organ connected to letting go. Mm. And measuring time in terms of each moment becoming an opportunity for um, letting go because of the inhale and the exhale and constant cycle of that. So, uh, yeah. So the other things, which is interesting in this book, says that the indications for the lung three is, uh, well, I'll go into melancholic crying ghost talk. So, and also floating corpse ghost talk. So, Dead this person who compiled this book, had looked at many different sources to kind of compile the information in one book, a manual for acupuncture that's used right now in acupuncture school in the US to teach students here in the West. And so, but he looked at all kinds of different sources. So some of them come from a very old time, some of them are newer. So information is just a compilation of all different sources, and it's that's why the language is such that some of the language is very old, and so without the context of where it came from, it's really hard to figure out what they meant. But just just looking at it, melancholy crying ghost talk. I think ghosts, especially from New Orleans here, people have, I feel like, an awareness of ghosts conversations or tradition of looking at ghosts, working with ghosts. And so the ghosts are basically, to me, when I think about it, is just uh, the past. So melancholy crying about the past is how I translate it in my head. So nostalgia or memories that you can't let go of. So, or you're being haunted by something that happened in the past. Um, so yeah, and then the other indication is a goiter, swelling in the throat, and the pain again, in this part of the body, right? And then short-sightedness and visual dizziness. So I've never really used this point for that, but this is what they've listed it for. Um, and then I'm just going to read from the commentary. The lung is a delicate organ, and neither hot or cold is appropriate. Too hot, and the fire will melt the metal, and the blood will stir. And another indication for lung three, Tianfu is the name of the point in Chinese, um, which means palace of heaven, by the way, is that sudden or severe thirst, internal rebellion of the qi, so difficulties breathing, and then blood overflowing from the mouth and nose. Liver and lung struggle against each other. So again, this is a coded terminology. It's not the actual liver and the actual lung, but there's probably many nuances within that. So the quotation is a clear reference to the pattern of a liver fire attacking the lung. A branch of the liver channel crosses the diaphragm and scatters in the lung. And if the liver fire rushes upwards and scorches the lung, it may injure both the blood vessels, causing reckless pouring of blood from mouth and nose, and the fluids, giving rise to thirst. At the same time, there will be cough, which is characterized in the pattern by bouts of spasmodic coughing with red face, or dyspnea or asthma, which is typically induced or worsened by frustration or anger. So here they're referring to coughing a lot and having a lot of wheezing, getting red in the face because of anger or frustration. They're not referring so much to the pattern of a pathogen that, um, yeah, they're referring to already maybe underlying conditions, and then you get irritable or angry, and then basically it affects your lungs because of the fascial connections from the liver organ and channel into the lung system. Um, oh, and here they're talking about floating corpse ghost talk. The term probably refers to the delirious speech seen in the terminal stages of pulmonary TB, tuberculosis. Okay, so, and then San Simiao, in his Thousand Ducat Formulas, a famous Dr. San Simiao from many years ago, specifically refers to melancholy crying ghost talk in relation to this poem. Um, and it was this great physician himself who classified pulmonary TB, known at that time as Fei Shi, flying corpse, as a disease of the lung rather than the one involving demonic possessions. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so I want to finish for today. It's enough of that. With just a little bit of a touching the points. So if you sit comfortably or light or stand, you can take a breath and exhale. Release the collarbones. Think of the collarbones being wide and continuing past the body, through the bones and out. And then think of your occipital bones growing tall and up as if you have antlers. And if you're standing, just root through the ground through your feet. If you're sitting, root through your sits bones. And connect to your breath. Connect to your nose and to the area around your nostrils. Watching the temperature change as you inhale the air, and watch it change as you exhale the air. You can exhale through the nose and the mouth. And if you think about your bones right here being almost as the wings, so if you're a bird and this is your beak and this is your wings, starting to lead with your wings, look over the right shoulder, and then allow your wings to lead. Look over the left shoulder. And exhale again, look over the right shoulder. And look over the left shoulder. Inhale and exhale to the center. You can inhale and bring your shoulders up to your ears. And then exhale. And again, inhale and exhale. Here you're going to gently rub the sternum. So you can do it in a circle or just the bones of your sternum. The joints in the where the ribs connect to the sternum are made of cartilage, so it's a soft cartilage, and there is movement that allows for movement for the rib cage. And then you're going to trace the channel of the lung. You're going to go out and then in and to the other side, out and in. And as you notice, I'm moving my own hand. Go out and then in a circle. My head follows as I'm watching. Start to make a little circle. And in another direction, you follow out and in. Pay attention to your breath. And again, inhale and exhale. And here, then you're going to start tapping. First, you tap the lung one from the center, as if there is a rain fingers. You can extend it all the way down. And then you can start tap the sides of the lung. You can start the tap the pec and the head. And then tapping the lung channel all the way to the index finger and back. And again, 3 times to the index finger and the thumb. Three times. And then going back to the other hand, tapping the lung channel, tapping around the gallbladder channel, the lung and the heart channel. So there's a lot of different channels that, of course, I'm doing the ring fingers here under the clavicle as well as over the clavicle and behind your head around the occiput. Then connect it to the sides of your ears and then the areas around your temples. So the fingers are light and you can alternate it or you can kind of do it at the same time. And then the top of your head, the dew 20 is a very important point. It's kind of connection to the sky, to the heaven. This is where your crown chakra is. And then connect it here to where your hair start to grow in the front of your face. So here we have a ren channel in the middle, kidney channel, stomach channel, and gallbladder channel, all connecting to the face. Here we're going to connect to the stomach channel, small intestinal channel here, all the way to the jaw. And then you can just kind of grab your jaw. And then bring your ears up by the tips, pull them to the side, and bring them down by the tips of the ears. And do it 3 times. Okay. And then we're going to take the muscle. So if you're doing it on yourself, you can do it on yourself. If you're doing it on the other person, you can grab their traps first and just kind of give it nice squeezes, nice slow squeezes, but not extremely deep because you haven't really too much too quickly in terms of the depth is not the best thing for the body. So, but just nice juicy squeezes, yeah. and then starting to squeeze. So if you want to let go, so if you want to work with the lung 3, for example, one nice thing is that to pull out, to pull on squeeze and pull up, kind of, so you don't want to put things in, you pull out. So this is a similar technique to acupuncture needles. So if I were to needle this point, I would try to pull out the needle as I manipulate it instead of pushing things in, unless I wanted to repress the emotion because the person is not ready to let go. Um, and then going down the channel here, bend the arm, because it's easier if the arm is and the muscles are bent to access this area. And you want to pull up and squeeze lung 5, which is also a main point for phlegm in the body. And then keep going to lung 9 here and lung 8. So you're going to just micro squeeze this areas. You can go 3 times and then go into the thumb, the meat of the thumb. So I'm holding on LA4 here, large intestine 4, as well as the lung 10. And I'm just squeezing. So on the other person, you can shake. You could shake their hand. You can compress the joint and then pull out a little bit. And you can spiral. So you could go into spirals. So tracing the joints, tracing the spirals in the hand, and pulling out. So the same thing goes for the index finger. So feeling how the spirals connect through the bone structure and pulling it all out. So, and then just shaking. Obviously do it for the second hand. And close your eyes and take a few breaths and notice how you feel right now. New sensations along the lung channel. And then with that, I'm just gonna suggest that we take 3 breaths together just to kind of commemorate all the people who are passing because of the coronavirus right now. Um, so I'm gonna start now. So then I just want you to invite you to kind of close your eyes and send gratitude to your lung system, soften whatever language you want to use, whatever practice you have for sending self-love and compassion to your body for being there for you. And then extend that practice to your friends, your family, your loved ones. And then to all the people you know, maybe not so well. And then to everyone who you might dislike, perhaps. And then to everyone who is living. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow.